Howdy y'all, welcome to Hazen Barrel Craftworks here on the Hazen Barrel Homestead and our humble whiskey room. I'm the Alchemist. Happy Friday y'all, and we made it through another cold week of December here in the second week of December in South Dakota. And well, it turned out to be a good choice to have warm winter cocktails here in South Dakota. A few more, well, how do I put it? More winter weather here. And the decision to do some warm winter cocktails, well, it was a good one for me here. And I hope you enjoyed the ones that we've had so far. And if you tuned in last week at all to the Whiskies of Winter that we chose, you know, the first ones were pretty easy for me as I sat down and sipped the Jim Beam Winter Reserve and the Winter Jack. Those came to me right away. But as we got to Friday last week and we did the Midwinter Night's Dram, yeah, I had a few things mulling around in my melon, and but I didn't quite have that instant cocktail. But as I was thinking about it a little bit more, I was thinking, well, we had a hot chocolate, and then we had a latte. What are we missing? What else goes with those winter cocktails or those, you know, comforting winter beverages? And it came to me. I knew what we needed. We needed some sort of an eggnog. And then I started thinking about the flavors that came on my palate when I was tasting that Midwinter Night's Dram. And I remember that fig. And yeah, I came up with something that could complement that fig in a Midwinter Night's Dram. And when you're making an eggnog, this isn't, you know, going to be a true eggnog, and I've got my challenges with it. So we'll see today if I can pull this off. Because if I don't pull it off, trying to make what I'm doing today for a eggnog type cocktail, I could end up with custard here today. But what I thought could go good with the flavors that came in with the Midwinter Night's Dram, I came up with North Forest Cream. This is a huckleberry vanilla liqueur. So, you know, those good cream liqueurs, you know, there's a lot of bourbon creams out there. And this huckleberry one I thought would go really good. That huckleberry and that vanilla would complement really good that Fig Newton that I came up with. And it was like a cookieless Fig Newton. If any of y'all remember those Fig Newton cookies, I haven't seen them on the shelves for a long time, but I guess I have to admit I don't go looking for it either. But that Fig Newton center, I always remember liking. And I got that note off of this whiskey. And as I thought about that, this huckleberry would go good, that the vanilla in this cream would go good to complement the hints of vanilla that I got in this one. So I thought as we started this, in order to heat this up, and I'm going to use egg whites in this, in order to heat this up, I've got the bottom half of the Boston shaker in here warming up. I've already turned off the heat because I'm just going to warm this up. If I get it too hot, I'm going to get custard. I left the hot water in our double-walled cocktail glass to keep that glass warm, and I'll dump that water off just before we put the whole cocktail together if I don't make custard. So I'm going to give us 2 ounces of our Midwinter Night's Dram over here in the warm half of the Boston shaker. And we'll just warm that up in there. Then we'll go heavy 2 ounces of the cream. For the nog portion. And there's our heavy. And we'll swirl that around just every now and again just to get that all warmed through. And we'll see how I do on this. Now we'll take the other half of the shaker, and I've got the equivalent of 1 egg white. And if you know, you can buy the egg whites in the carton, and that's what I like to do anytime I use egg whites. And when I froth my egg whites, I always like to use this frother because, well, 2 reasons today. But if I'm not doing this type of a cocktail, typically when I dry shake, and that's using the shaker without the ice in, and that gives you a little bit better of a froth when you're using an egg white. But, you know, I'm not one of those grand cocktail bar bartenders. I'm just a simple, old-fashioned alchemist. And when I do this, dry shaking it, it's the ice really that gives it that good seal on a Boston shaker. And so when I dry shake without ice, inevitably, me not being a professional in any shape or form, I make some sort of a mess. So what I found is I pull out my frother that I use when I make lattes and whatever, and I go in and I give those egg whites a good froth with this. And I find that it does a pretty good job. So I just watch that. I get them nice bit of air frothed up in there. And that looks pretty good. So we'll set that aside. And I still got some nutmeg and cinnamon notes in this whiskey. So I'm going to put a little bit in here just to enhance that a little bit before I give this a swirl. And we'll swirl that again. Yeah, it's not too hot, so hopefully I don't make a custard here. Now let's see how we do. I am going to shake it just a little bit because I've got to mix this together. And I am going to make a little bit of a mess. I know it. Because I don't have ice in this, I'm trying to keep it warm. Not too terribly bad. Now we'll dump out our hot water. Our glass is nice and hot still. We'll pour it in. Look at that, we've got liquid. Nice and frothy and creamy. A little bit left in there for topping us off. And I thought just a little bit of orange zest. Twist it in there. Would put just a little bit of crisp in there. I'll plop that in. Oh, it sure smells nice. Now, here's the real test. How did I do? Oh, wow. First of all, everything turned out warm, like I intended. And maybe what I should do is back up and say, hey, success, it's not a custard. But second of all, it is creamy. I mean, it is eggnog creamy, which is exactly what I was going for. I mean, if you can see that difference there, we've got the froth on top that I was going for. We've got that cream on the bottom. I don't know if you can see that. Everything that I was intending there. That nice bit of fresh orange zest on top makes a nice difference. You know what we should do too? Let's try this. On top, let's put a little bit of nutmeg on there. I think that would complement That's a nice addition. Sweet orange. That nutmeg adds a nice sweetness with that crisp orange. Oh no, that's really nice. Another sip. Again, still, the first thing that gets me when I sip this, that froth, that creaminess. Boy, that's just another good cocktail. I'm going to have to say 3 out of 3 on this. I love doing these together with y'all. I like being just as surprised as any of y'all are when I sip into this, and I'm going to tell you, give this one a try as well. It's staying in my recipe book for the holidays. And I really thought the huckleberry would be the champion of this one, but I'm really surprised how they marry together. The huckleberry liqueur with that Midwinter nice dram to make like a creamy pudding eggnog, because the vanilla is nice in this. So it's like it's a creamy eggnog vanilla pudding eggnog, and that, to me, again, that frothiness and that burst of citrus. Adding a nutmeg was a nice touch. I didn't know if I wanted to do it at first, but then I thought that sweetness of nutmeg would go really good. And if you want to, if you like the blend of cinnamon and nutmeg, go for it. Grate a little bit of fresh cinnamon on there as well. That could be a nice touch also. But after I was nosing that fresh burst of orange on there and had that first sip, I really thought that the sweetness of nutmeg would go along, and it does. It really tops it off. That creaminess of that egg white foam on the top, and then when you start with your next sip and the rest of the cream from the bottom, from this vanilla cream, the huckleberry vanilla cream, and then you've got that Midwinter nice dram mixed in there to make that really that pudding, that fruit pudding eggnog. It's really quite nice. And so, yeah, I'd say another cocktail to add to the holidays, y'all. And as you all know, I'd love to have y'all coming back around. So please, if you wouldn't mind, hit that like, subscribe, and that bell. And if you would, share with a friend or two over the holidays when you're having them come around. And you're sharing some of these cocktails from this week, if you choose to. But most of all, as y'all know, please, I'd love it. Just take it easy. Don't drink and drive. Cheers.